Hi, I'm Ty Preiniger, and I am a technology facilitator for Mesquite ISD, and this is the second lesson in our 8th grade mapping project of U.S. history about the 13 colonies and triangular trade. So our first lesson helped us map motivations for exploration and colonization, and our second layer is about the colony. So let me show you where we're going with this. A final copy of our layer is going to look like this. So you can see we have a lot of elements to add to our map. So a lot has happened in our part of the world between the first layer and the second layer. So in order for your kids to get all this information, it's going to be really helpful for you to have a copy of their instruction sheet there on their desks. And because there's so much information, this is going to be taught in 4 mini lessons. So this first lesson will focus on the New England colonies, the next one on the middle colonies, the third on the southern colonies, and then last we'll talk about triangular trade and a little bit about mercantilism. So let's go to our blank map, and kids should be able to see what they made with the first layer of the map, and whenever you can see this blue line, that means that you are on the active layer. You're ready to start building to that layer. But I don't want to put anything on my motivations of exploration layer. I want to uncheck that, and I want to have my 13 colonies layer checked, and I want to have the blue line there so that I know that anything I add will be on the correct layer. So the first thing our paper says to do is we need to label our colonies. So we're going to zoom in. I don't think I like that far because it shows all the interstates. Obviously, those highways weren't there back in the day. If you need a visual for yourself, you can turn in your textbook to page 117. And so your paper says that we're going to label Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. So I always remember this by the saying, cut messy ham on roads. And so you can always identify what those colonies are. So I'm going to use my Add a Marker tool, click on it, and then click on Connecticut. I'm going to name it Connecticut, save the marker, and I want to use the paint bucket to change the color to yellow, because anything that we add about the New England colonies is always going to be in yellow. If I click on more icons, I want to choose a simple circular icon for this. So choose the circle, and we have a yellow circle on Connecticut. So I'm going to close that out. The next one I'm going to map is Massachusetts. So same thing, use my Add a Marker tool, click on Massachusetts, click Save, choose the paint bucket, pick the same yellow color, and this time it saved the icon that I used, so I don't have to go searching for it. If you accidentally put your icon a little too close to another colony, remember that you can hover your mouse and see how it changes from the hand to the pointer finger. I can use that pointer finger to move it where I want my marker. The third colony we're going to add is New Hampshire. I searched for it in case you didn't know where it was. You can click on Add to Map, click Remove, and again go and change it to your correct color. Yep, I don't need one there, but I can go ahead and move this for my 4th marker, and that's going to be Rhode Island. Now, we don't need this information just yet, but if you wanted, or as you talk about life in the colonies, your teacher may want you to add a description as to why these colonies were founded. So if we were to look at Plymouth on our map, we know that Plymouth is here in Massachusetts. That's the reason why Massachusetts was founded, was because of the settlement of Plymouth. And so that was in the year 1620. The year that we're at right now with all these colonies developing, that's going to be the next 100 to 150 years, because it's going to take a long time for people to for word to get back to England and other countries that people are living here now in America. They have settled here, they're surviving, and things aren't that bad, and they're making a life for themselves. So that's going to take 100 to 150 years to play out. So your teacher may want you to add information like that to each colony later on when you figure out why they were settled. Rhode Island, for example, was settled by Roger Williams for religious freedom. But I think what's most important, I think on all of these descriptions, I would add what your instructions tell you to add. Cold winters and rocky soil contributed to the development of local industries. And so I would highlight that, copy it, and I would paste that to every single one of my markers. Because we cannot forget that fact. Because it's so cold up here and because the soil is so bad, they're not going to be farming for the most part. They're going to be finding other ways to make money. So let's go ahead and start mapping some of those. If you look on page 117 in your book, you have a map that shows the different industries and where they were popular at around these places. And so I'm going to pick a few major industries, and we're going to go ahead and map them. So the first one I want to go ahead and do is I want to map where fishing was popular. So I'm going to use my marker tool, and I see that there is a fish off the coast of Maine. Now in your book it doesn't say Maine because Maine was part of Massachusetts back then, so kind of ignore Maine up here on our map. But we can see that off the coast here that fishing was very popular. So you add a marker, name it fish, and while you're here you can add a picture because I want to show you what you can find. I'm going to type in the word Maine fishing, and you can see that it looks like it's pretty good fishing here along Maine. So that's just a visual reminder for us. But now my icon, I don't want it to be a marker like it marks a country. I want it to be the picture of a fish. So I'm going to go to my paint bucket tool, change it to yellow, and when I go to more icons, I can actually find a picture of a fish here underneath places. So this one's named seafood. Don't pay attention to the names, we just like the pictures. So now I have a yellow fish marker off the coast of Maine or Massachusetts. So I'm going to add a couple more where fishing was popular. Don't worry about a picture on every one, but do change the style to a yellow fish. And let's add one more around the coast of New Hampshire. All right, the next industry we're going to look at is shipbuilding. And what I want to do for this one to kind of show you how fishing and shipping is still a huge part of our country's economy up here in the Northeast, I want you to search for the words shipyard and or ship Massachusetts. Let's see what it comes up with. Let's just pick one of these and see where it puts us. So if I zoom out, I can see that shipping is just huge in this area. So I want to go ahead and click on this marker and add it to my map. Remove all those extra details and change the title to ships. And I want to use the paint bucket tool. It's still going to be yellow, but go to more icons, and they have actually an icon of a tall ship below. So choose the ship icon, and when you zoom out, you can see where that is in relation to everything else. So chances are, if they're fishing out here in these waters, they're going to need boats that are able to waters. So I'm gonna drop a couple more icons off the coast that are ships. And they're really just all along the coast of these New England colonies. All right, the next one I want to focus on is lumber, because these people don't have modern day boats that are made out of fiberglass or other things. Their boats back then are going to be made out of wood, and they have to actually make those boats because remember, they're fresh, brand new people in the colonies. They are starting from scratch. So they're going to use the resources that they have available in this region to make and build those ships. So looking at your book, lumber can be found up on the coast of modern day Maine and New Hampshire. It's very, lots of trees and still lots of forest in this area that we could look and see. So let's add our markers on land, and we're going to call this lumber to make it yellow. And the icon we're going to get is going to be one of a tree. Don't worry about it being called park. We just like the fact that it's a tree. And then let's get one in New Hampshire. Yellow tree. All right, so not only are these good fishing waters, but they have whales, and you'll come to find out later that whales are very essential to what was going on back in colonial days. They had lots of uses for those, and those whales are kind of in this area. Let's drop a marker, name it whales, save it, oh, and let's see if we can find an icon maybe for a whale. That one might be tough. Here's a shark fin, and that's pretty close. So let's just pretend that that's a whale fin off the coast of Massachusetts and the Rhode Island area. All right, and then the last one that I want to focus on are furs. So the fur trade developed, it just was booming back then, probably because of the terrain, the geography. This is lots of forests, lots of trees, and so that's going to have lots of animals like beaver and other animals that people are going to want their skins. So we're going to add a marker. Let's do one up in the forest. There's probably lots of animals up in the forest. I'm going to save that, change it to yellow. And I think for this icon, I chose like a random animal. Here's a wildlife image that has a deer, so let's pick that one. So we have fur up there. We have fur in modern day Vermont. Here's another forest where we can put it. Now, Vermont was not a colony yet. It was kind of split between New York and New Hampshire. It's kind of pretty far inland for these guys to go and settle and live in, so it's not going to be a colony just yet. And then let's add one more fur up here in modern day Maine. All right, so there we have our New England colonies. We know the names of the colonies. You can click on those over here on the left in the menu icon, and then you can see the different industries that developed in these regions. So feel free to add descriptions and pictures later on if time allows. Thank you.